Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Sorry, chat. Here we go. Yeah, I was just dealing with some trolls who. One thing I don't understand. Hey guys, welcome everybody to the stream. One thing I really struggle to comprehend is why everybody keeps making these stupid arguments about you don't understand VFX. Like, it's not a matter of needing to understand VFX. When something doesn't match, you can just use your eyes. It doesn't require any special skills about it. But I've made it so clear so many different times when we're talking about the MH370 videos, there is no pyromania VFX in the videos. That's not an opinion. I don't know why I have to keep restating it over and over and over again. It's an objective fact. It's not in there. And then people get really mad because they have pinned themselves to this belief that there's some pyromania VFX in the MH370 videos when there's not. And so they've wrapped their brain in logic and pretzels in terms of trying to figure out how someone would have modified something to make it look different. But that's literally not how it works. Not an opinion. Again, it's a fact. That's not how it works. Nobody's ever done that. That's never been done before. And that VFX has never been put and modified in any other movies or video games. Every time it's been found, it's been completely unmodified because that's how VFX works. So I don't know why there are people constantly trying to argue with me about it. Their only counter argument is you don't know how VFX works. Yes, I do. I just described it. You take a model, you put it in your video, you use stock effects so that you don't have to create something from scratch. So the idea that somebody's going to painstakingly move around every pixel to make it into something else, that's not how VFX works. You might blend something into the background, as you see in many other assets, but you don't completely change it into something else. It's, again, not how it works. So, sorry we have to bring this up before our Philadelphia experiment thing here. But, you know, and the funny part is that, like, and then these idiot Redditors, they're always Redditors every single time, because Redditors are, like, just the dumbest people on the planet. Like, literally, they're the dumbest people on the planet. They're so brainwashed that, like, then they'll make these arguments. I don't understand your logic. Yes, I get that you don't understand it because it's too easy. It's too basic, right? And you brainwash yourself where you can't understand basic common sense and basic reasoning. I'm not, like, making some complicated argument here. It's so simple. There is no pyromania VFX in the MH370 videos. That's a statement of fact. I've made a factual statement. Prove it wrong. Go ahead and tell me how many pixels match. Oh, they don't. Exactly, because it's not in there. Guys, it's not rocket science. It doesn't require advanced degrees. It doesn't require being a YouTuber with 6 million followers. It just requires common sense. Like, and this is part of the reason why it's so easy for them to hide technology like we're going to talk about in the Philadelphia experiment from us, because people are idiots. People are literal morons that don't have any capability of any rational being. And I'm sorry this offends people out there, but a lot of you out there need to hear it. a lot of my followers already get it, but people that are like the Redditors who are hate watching and stuff like that, they really don't get it. Like, if you're one of these people that thinks that we're looking at an exact match, and I've seen people literally go, it's a perfect match, when it's objectively not, you're part of the reason that's holding humanity back. That sounds harsh, but it's true. You're part of the reason it's holding humanity back. Your lack of ability to think critically about your own opinions and consider just the small chance that you might be incorrect, right? When you're making an opinion, not a fact, an opinion, is what holds humanity back, guys. The worst part is that I've talked to so many VFX artists, and this is how I've learned so much about it. This is how I've learned that you need a reference if you want to fake something. You don't just make it up out of whole cloth. You literally need someone to go, this is what I want it to look like. Here's the reference. This is how VFX actually works in the real world, right? And I think it's hilarious how many people will defer to some phony level of authority like, oh, well, those people are VFX experts. Based on what? Based on what? Does that make them unimpeachable? This is like when we had that average Chris guy going, I'm a veteran, you should... Oh, no, this was when Lou was saying, I've got veterans on my side, so therefore I'm automatically right. Like, this is the kind of just brain-dead lack of critical thinking that's holding humanity back. This is why people, this is why nobody looks into the science. Nobody looks into any cases. This is why everything gets debunked with I found some small flaw in that. I'm going to go ahead and throw it all out. It's ridiculous. No, there's a lot of hate watchers in my streams, guys. Trust me. But it's important for you guys to realize the arguments as well that they will try to use so that we can fight back on it, right? It's pretty sad. Pretty sad, guys. So here's somebody's post is, what don't you understand? He didn't need a reference. Like, this is somebody who's claiming to know about how VFX works. Yes, you do need a reference. That's literally how it all works. He wanted a portal, so he just imagined one and made it. No, again, that's not how VFX works, right? This is how idiots think, unfortunately, right? They will imagine fake narratives and stories in their head that soothe their egos, right? We've seen it happen time and time again. We've seen it happen about me time and time again, right? They make up an imaginary scenario in their head because they can't believe what seems too incredible. It's something that would basically make their whole reality a lie, right? And you'll see it in politics all the time. This is why it breaks down boundaries, not just about MH370X, not just about the Philadelphia experiment or whatever, right? You see it all the time. People will imagine fake arguments that don't exist, imagine stories that aren't real in order to avoid an uncomfortable truth. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's borderline mental illness. It really is. And people just think, I shouldn't joke about stuff like that. And the problem is I'm not joking. That's like here, we're going to show it, guys. Look at this moron, superluminal. He went to all caps now because I literally just explained to him how it works. The stock photos he's literally arguing that a stock photo was used while simultaneously saying that it wasn't stock. They had to manipulate it and change it all around like a million times, right? Like, all he has to do, like, he just doesn't even listen to the words that I'm saying. Like, this is all he has to do is read the literal message he's replying to up here at the top. He can't even read the words that are in my post that refute his argument. And this is the problem with debunkers. They're so stupid. They're so dumb that they can't even listen to your arguments. They invent fake arguments that you're saying in their head. They beat those straw man arguments down. And then you get nut jobs like this. Where is it? You literally have zero IQ. The stock photos were found, which when patched together, match the clouds 100%. The stock photos that are from 2016 that don't reverse image search back to the website. They actually reverse image search back to Reddit, which shows you that even something that was just posted recently will get reverse image search back to, but it doesn't reverse image search back to the website. that when we looked in the torrents of the old website didn't even exist at all. The VFX asset was found that doesn't objectively doesn't match and objectively is not in the MH370 videos. A non-matching asset that's not in the videos was found. That's a statement of fact, not an opinion. This guy's opinion is that he thinks the VFX asset was found. One that we'd have to manipulate that nobody has ever manipulated in any movie studio or any video game before. They've always just put it directly into their video. They never changed it around, moved the pixels around, because that's not how VFX works. And because he's so upset and so wrong, he's melting down in the replies. You are complete fools. So now he has to try to put other people down because he's objectively incorrect. Look at the evidence. Yes, look at the literal evidence that I just posted up there at the top. Look at the evidence that we posted. Evidence 1, here it is. These are not the same. It doesn't take a rocket science to tell that this is not the same as this. They're not even close. This is not even close to similar. They cherry-picked one frame to try to convince people. When you look at it, you can tell it's not even close to the same. Like, I don't know. Look at the evidence, man. I agree. Look at the evidence. Stop being idiots. Look at the evidence. I've begged people to look at the evidence, and to date, not one single debunker ever, and this is the thing that surprised me the most, not one single debunker ever has looked at the evidence that we've put forth. We've got all this evidence right here. They've never addressed any of this evidence ever before. Not one person out there, nobody. Nobody has ever addressed the evidence. And they're the ones telling us we need to look at the evidence. We've addressed the evidence. I've addressed the evidence. I've addressed the debunks. I've addressed literally everything. The only people ignoring all the evidence is the debunkers. It's extensive, chat. I've never seen more evidence on any videos ever in the history of the world. Okay? So that's been clarified. Please, and if you're one of these idiots like this guy, please just, if this is like, if you're having a mental breakdown over this like that guy is, just go do something else, man. No one's trying to prove it to you, right? Just go do something else. Go be productive. Go, I don't know, have a hobby, whatever. Okay. I think we're good with this. Yeah, just look away, I guess, right? Like, just do anything. That's the weirdest part about all this crap, right? Is how people get so obsessed with something that they think isn't real when they don't have any evidence to prove it, but they just want to convince everybody else that their stupid, incorrect opinion is the truth. Just ridiculous, man. Gatekeepers, losers, man. Just absolute losers, right? People that have nothing going on in their life, clearly, right? Okay, you guys ready for some actual enjoyable stuff? Sorry for the little rant right there, chat, but... Okay, I think we already played this. Yeah, I mean, Justin, whatever you guys want to do, I don't know. I'm going to hand over the investigation to Arwen and JK Philly Fan. And I may promote their Twitters if they want to post stuff on Twitter or whatever. We'll see. I don't really know. I'm not committing to any of that as this goes forward. But after... Excuse me, jeez. After March 8th, I'm not going to do any more investigation for a good while. Just because it's too much, man. It's too much with these people. And the truth is, as I've said this many times, and I'm going to say it one more time as well, is that as you can see from the interactions with people, is that people aren't smart enough to understand this technology to be real. People are not ready for disclosure. They're not ready for aliens. And I know that offends a lot of you guys to say, I'm ready for it. I know you are. I know you are. You're not most people, right? I went and had dinner tonight, and I'm looking around and I went to this dive that I like, this burger place. One of my favorite places. I go there a lot, right? And I'm just looking around, and I'm going, the world's not ready. We're not even close to ready. We're not ready for teleportation and aliens and hovering crafts, right? We're not ready for it. Not even close to ready. In fact, we might not be ready by the time that I die, and I'm only 40-something years old, right? I'm in my early 40s. That's just how far away we are, you know? That's just how far away we are. And I do ignore them, guys, just for the record. I mean, I've blocked a lot of people, especially recently as well. But I generally try not to block the ones that are just asking questions or whatever like that. They usually wait until they flip out and have their meltdowns and stuff like that, right? Because the reality is that, yes, we have to wake people up. So what are we doing tonight? We are going to go take a look at the Project Rainbow, which is also known as the Philadelphia experiment. This is pretty interesting. And I want to dig through. I want to find some evidence. I want to put some of it together so that I can make a post tomorrow. Let me see here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Cool. So let's listen to this.
Nikola Tesla.
Hold on. Let me switch this around. The other thing, too, real quick, guys, is that this is a disinformation war. It's an information war, right? It's probably a very small percentage of people, but some people are absolutely controlled by the CIA, whether or not they are controlled directly or they're just being told what to think. It doesn't really matter, right? But they have not been hiding this without some active influence, right? And we're going to find that out here today, because the big revelation here today is that for this to have gone on for 80 years, over 80 years, according to what we're going to be listening to and researching today, they've probably killed people before. And they most likely have been silencing people and discrediting them, and they are actively involved in pushing disinformation to get these kind of weirdos that we have thinking that the stuff can't be real. Right? And that's the landscape that we have to understand that we're in, right? And in that landscape, it's like the letter said, it's not a situation where you can win just by promoting the evidence, right? We have to push back on the information war itself, right? And so that's the reason why I have to make posts about debunks. Because it's not as simple as just us doing our own thing. It's also that you need to push back on the fake narratives that are being formed and break people free from their disillusions, right? And so every time you see someone melt down like that, it's because they're rejecting the information of their reality that's being presented to them. It's cognitive dissonance, right? They can't absorb information that's alternative to their viewpoint, and therefore their cognitive dissonance will basically build any other rationalization. So just to explain cognitive dissonance for people out there, it's probably the most important thing to know, is that cognitive dissonance says that you come to a conclusion. So when it's the debunkers, their conclusion is the videos can't be real. They've already have that in mindset. They're never going to change that opinion, right? So they will only accept information that affirms that opinion. When information is presented to them that's alternate to that opinion, then they need to rationalize how that information is incorrect in order to maintain their false worldview, the idea that the videos are fake. So you present them proof and evidence that the videos are real, and instead what they do is they say, oh, well, that person must be a liar, right? So they invent a fake narrative in their head. This is literally what cognitive dissonance is. So, and this is what they do to me, right, is that they invent this idea, well, Ashton must be a liar because the information you just presented counters the conclusion I've already come to, right? And this is a form of mental illness as well. Like, this is why when I talk about mental illness, this is what I'm talking about, right? And it's funny because that Art Levine person that we were joking with, right, he posted the Carl Sagan thing, and that's what Carl Sagan literally argues against, is that your conclusion cannot already be formed. Because if it is, then you're not a critical thinker. Then you're just somebody who's affirming your already pre-existing beliefs. The problem that Art Levine doesn't realize is that he's talking about himself. He imagines that the only people that can be guilty of that are people that are believers in aliens and UFOs or whatever, and they don't realize that the people that are guilty of that are the skeptics. Just as guilty, if not more. Both sides, it's two sides of the same coin. So I just want to be clear on that, because it's important that and so then the question is, we also, as logical and critical thinkers, must always hold ourselves up to that standard. So as much as I'm sure the videos are real and that this technology can be real, there's always a little bit of me that goes, okay, well, Is there some element of doubt that's possible? What would be required in order for me to change my worldview, right? I would need to have the hoaxer come forward with the assets, right? That would be extremely damning evidence. Now, I don't think that's something that's never going to happen, but that's something where you can now have a objective standard, right? Or you can say, well, I would need them to find the plane. If they find the plane, the black boxes, and the black boxes are like, yeah, this plane flew in the South Indian Ocean, and here's the audio recording of the pilot while he's doing his suicide route, yelling Allahu Akbar because he's literally a terrorist or something, and that's what the stupid narratives say. That's not what I believe. Then obviously that would be powerful evidence. That's never going to happen, right? Because that whole story of the suicide pilot is fake, right? But that's arguable evidence. If you were to ask the skeptics and the debunkers what their standard is, what it would take for them, you're not going to get any basic answer, right? You're not going to get a conclusion. What you're going to get then is you're going to get a story where they're going to say, well, you have to prove to me that teleportation is real, which is not something that can ever be proven, right? No one's going to come up and show you individually teleportation. All we can do is do what we've done, which is give you the wide body of evidence that proves the lie and that proves that these videos, as hard as they are to believe, are authentic and consistent with witnesses, consistent with evidence that we found, etc. So, okay. We went off for long enough, guys. Now I'm ready for some, was it Project Rainbow? This is wild. Let's do it, chat.
It once contained his most prized possession.
Actually, before we dig into this, I'm going to give you a little background, okay? So I've looked into it. And here's another thing, guys. I hate being rude about this, but I'm getting sent like whole dissertations and hours-long videos. I just don't have time for any of it. I don't have time for any of it. If you want me to look at something, you can link it on my Twitter, reply on my Twitter. That's the best spot for me to see stuff. But please don't expect that I'm going to read through stuff. I mean, I've had people send me like 10-page long things that they want me to read, right? And I have a full-time job. Outside of that, I've been doing all the other stuff that I've been trying to do as well as these streams. I don't have time in the day for everybody's things that are out there, right? I'm 2 weeks behind on the emails where I was already a month behind on them. So if you want, the best thing again is if you want me to look at video, please give me the exact time frame you want me to look at. If you send me a 3-hour video, I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm not watching it. No offense, I'm just not watching it. Send me the exact timestamp you want me to look at. If you want me to read a paper, summarize it. Tell me give me the highlights. Tell me why it's important, right? Do a little bit of effort into it. So sorry that that's harsh or whatever, but that's just the way it is. And I'm not trying to put you down on your papers or what have you. You can see I've got a lot of papers up here ready to go. But the best way is to simply reply on my Twitter and post them out there. And the truth is I need probably support and interns and what have you like that, but I just don't want to do that is the truth. So, now if it comes up naturally, like if your topic that you're reading is naturally consistent with what I'm doing, I mean, just post it in my reply or like, DM it to me if you want. I'm just telling you, I'm probably not going to get around to it if it's just shooting tons of information at me, right? And that's not to say that I don't appreciate it. It's not to say that I don't appreciate it. It's just to say that I just don't have time for digging through a lot of it. I do appreciate it though, by the ways. And yeah, it looks like William is asking for it. So if you want to send all this stuff to him, please do. And if I follow you, then go ahead and you can DM it to me. I'm just no guarantee I'll get back. Okay. Now let's dig into this. So what is the Project Rainbow / Philadelphia experiment? So this is a boat where they were trying to cloak the boat and protect it from radar or whatever, right? And so they put all these assets and hardware on it. And instead of it getting cloaked, it just straight up disappeared. But not just disappeared, but showed up in Norfolk, Virginia, hundreds of miles away. And then it showed up back in the port, and I believe it was in Philadelphia where it originally was, right? And so what happened then? Assuming that it's real, what happened then is they accidentally bent space-time. Now, how did they get it? What I want to be thinking about, what we should be thinking about is, how did they get it to Norfolk, Virginia? What was the direction of travel? Did it just speed up and then it boated there super fast? or did it actually like move from one spot, skip to one spot to skip to another spot, right? And the interesting thing about this case is I always found that this case was compelling. Even before I dug into all this stuff, I just thought it was weird. I just didn't think teleportation was possible. But now that we do think it's possible, I think it's worth looking at again. So let's take a look and let's see what we can figure out. And WP Genlight, man, I know you're really smart. I know you've got awesome stuff in there as well, man. I appreciate it. I think I'm following you, so you can DM it to me if you want.
Possessions, his most secret papers. Miss Musar had arrived too late to know who had opened Dr. Tesla's safe or what had been removed. And Dr. Trump had found nothing which he considered dangerous or
Dr. Trump? Was that Trump's grandfather or whatever?
secret weapon. Tesla had been a naturalized American citizen for 54 years, so why were his papers seized by agents of the custodian of alien property?
So one other thing, so the time that the Eldritch happened, the Philadelphia experiment, the Project Rainbow, was 1943. This was 2 years before we even dropped the bomb. So this stuff could even be tied to when they were figuring out how to split the atom, right? They time jumped it while it was in motion, which changes the parameters of time as their time reference. Yeah, so WP Genlight, that's kind of what I'm thinking as well, something like that. I don't know, though.
I suspect that governments other than
That's
those of
Trump's
the United
uncle?
States, England, and Russia
Well, that's
were
weird.
interested in the inventions of Dr. Tesla.
Oh, sorry, here we go. We haven't quite got there yet.
1943, the year of Tesla's death, was destined to become a year of the most imaginative scientific experiments in the history of the world.
You gotta love this music in the background. And also, what is this logo? Is this the creepiest logo ever? Pyramids with aliens over the top? And this was what, from what year? 1983. This is almost as old as I am. This is 40 years old.
In 1943, while England was reeling under the impact of guided missile bombardment from German-controlled Europe, America was involved in one of the most amazing and fantastic experiments ever devised by man.
I'll link it.
Codenamed Project Rainbow, the objective was to place two massive toroidal electromagnets around the hull of a ship to make it disappear.
Two massive toroidal electromagnets around the hull of the ship. So you can imagine there would be one in front, potentially, and one in the back. And they're going to create a giant field, right? And maybe even have something between them, some kind of connection between them. And then this boat's going to go somewhere. Yeah, we need to learn more about the details.
The only thorough investigation of this highly classified and bizarre experiment has been carried out by Charles Berlitz and William Moore, co-authors of the Philadelphia experiment.
They had two enormous degaussers that established a field of resonance, which initially, as I said, was to make clouds of ionization around a ship and make it invisible, as well as invisible to radar. But what happened was much more surprising and unsettling than that. The ship seemed to glow in the field, and all of a sudden, with a sort of the way you put on a neon light, except in reverse, it flicked off instead of flicking on.
Neon light in reverse. What is he? Any idea what he means by that, chat? They're also saying the right words here, right? So this is from 1983, 40 years ago, and they're talking about toroidal electromagnets. This is the part where I'm going, holy shit, how long have we had this kind of technology? And this is talking about an incident that happened 40 years before this.
And there was no ship there. I believe the experiment was done once more at sea. And it was the fact that the experiment was done at sea under better conditions that it became more or less public knowledge, because the disappearing destroyer was seen by a ship in convoy to disappear at only 100 yards away.
So Is he talking about the Eldritch right there? Because if they did it at sea, then yeah, that would make me wonder if time was sped up. If the boat was moving, then time is going to speed up, right?
A group of scientists had been working towards these experiments for some time. They were headed by Dr. Albert Einstein and included an American electrical physicist.
Thomas Townsend Brown, and he was not to my knowledge a doctor, and is still alive, by the way, is perhaps a very typical example of an individual who devoted the best part of his life to trying to understand and develop technology that the rest of the world didn't seem quite ready to accept. Townsend Brown, who had a military background, was a lieutenant commander in World War II, had a nervous breakdown in 1943.
Had a nervous breakdown in 1943. That's pretty wild. Also because that coincides with the event happening. But they kept giving him information, kept giving him access after that. I have hiccups. What's August 12th, chat? I don't know what that means. Reverse neon light. Yeah, I still don't understand what reverse neon light means.
We know he was very depressed over the effect on the crew members of the
So this is pretty interesting because he's basically saying Thomas Townsend Brown had depression over what happened to the crew. Like he got a whole bunch of people killed.
experiment and the subsequent experiment which took place at sea.
Suddenly a nervous breakdown, everything else. It's common knowledge in any government that people who have a history of nervous breakdowns are security risks. They're not given classification.
This music is fire right now.
There are indications that this work went wrong.
Oh, it flickers when you turn it on?
Townsend Brown under top secret government projects. I think they're far in advance of his research today.
Brown's research had included Project Winterhaven, experiments in interdimensional travel, similar to the Philadelphia experiment. He had worked for the French government on moving structures using only electrical power. And in 1957, he began to work in North Carolina with Agnew H. Bonson and James Frank King on electric flying craft. Agnew Bonson was killed in a plane crash in 1964.
Okay, so he just dies randomly in a plane crash? The guy he was working with dies in a plane crash in 1964? Jesus. Plasma? Yeah, Jesse was saying he was self-sabotaging. The thing about Jesse Michaels is that, like, Jesse Michaels works under Peter Thiel. And the question is, like, the thing I get about from Jesse is, like, I'm not sure how much he's being fed is disinformation. Like, clearly he's on the mark, right? But, like, I can tell that when I talk to Jesse, the way he thinks he's not sure if he believes what he's been getting told as well. I've learned many things about time, and one of the things I've learned about time is it's not always the same everywhere. Strength, yeah, time definitely we know is relative.
But I found King alive and well in North Carolina.
This was the early 50s when everybody was awfully interested in flying saucers anyway. And most of the people were trying to find some reason for their being here. Also, other people were trying to find how they could fly and they could do the things that people said that they could do. And so we wanted to go further. We wanted to do mechanical and electrical work to try to find
watch a couple more minutes of this.
Power source that was similar to what they might have been using. But we needed somebody that had done more along the lines that we believed in. And we hunted.
Here's the thing, chat, that is compelling about all this. It all seems connected. Now, I know I'm the one who's been saying, don't try to connect everything, right? But from the scientific perspective, it's like UFOs are using propulsion that we can see that we don't understand, you know, going back to the even before the 40s, right? And then you can imagine the U.S. government has figured it out, that they're working on it. They're sending all these engineers and scientists to figure it out, right? And they potentially have it unlocked, but then they're testing it, trying to improve it, trying to make it better and better and better. And then what? 2000s come along. What happens in the early 2000s? Quantum computers, right? And now we have the ability where we can have computers that are have this kind of like AI capability, right? Where it can detect stuff based on probability, not just ones and zeros anymore, but a range of possibilities. This is what can take it to the next level, in my opinion.
For various people, finally decided that T. Townsend Brown, that we had read about but had never met, was working along lines that we liked.
The other part about it here, too, is that I don't think there would be this much lore that is connected to actual engineers and scientists if there wasn't something here, right? And it goes all the way back to Einstein. Is that if there was nothing to this, this wouldn't be a thing we'd even be talking about. It wouldn't be in the zeitgeist. There's something here. It's just a matter of what is it, right? And that's what I think Jesse's trying to figure out too, is it a situation where we figured this out naturally and we used aliens as a cover-up? Or is it a situation where there really are aliens and they're visiting us and we picked their craft up and what have you? I probably lean closer to there being aliens just because I can't believe that we figured this all out by ourselves. And when I look at the technological revolution, like just look at your iPhone, look at your phone, you know? When I think about how far we've come in such a short period of time, it looks like we've been getting advanced technology fed to us, right? And it's the same ways that I've been talking about where you have an inventor that is working on these projects and then they bring some of the technology home. And then they patent it, and then they release it, and then they make a bunch of money off of it, right? And that's how we get small computer transistors and electronic chips, right? Is that it's all electrical engineering. All of it is.
So we needed Brown. So we began to hunt for him, and this was in 1957.
So Brown worked with Bonson and King, successfully building and testing flying saucers. But they did have some problems.
But yeah, and just to add on to that, I definitely think, and these are just my opinions, like I'm not convinced that there's aliens because I just haven't seen them, and I'd probably have to see them firsthand for me to be fully on board with it. But, you know, once you start to think that we have some of these capabilities that are beyond what we have now, then it becomes a lot more easy to digest that information. But yeah, we could be the aliens too. I think that's a very, very, I think that I've always said, even before all this stuff, that to me, the thing that's going to be crazy about it is we're going to realize it's not what we expected. It's not going to be a comfortable truth. Like, oh, the aliens are just coming down. They want to make our lives better and give us some technology. It's not going to be that simple, man. It's probably going to be a lot darker no matter how we look at it, right? That's why I think about stuff like ultra-terrestrial hypothesis and stuff like the idea that we could be a prison planet. It's going to be some dark crap, I think. Or that our whole universe is a simulation like the Matrix and we're just being used as batteries.
We made saucers that were as large as 7 feet in diameter, and we ran those all the way up to 1 million volts. And they would fly. We flew those, but they could only fly within the limits of the umbilical cord that was carrying the high voltage to them.
So Brown, Bonson, and King had realized one of the dreams of Nikola Tesla. They had created a noiseless flying craft without wings, without rudders,
Need wireless
and without
power.
propellers. But it had to be tethered to its power source by a cable. Tesla's greatest dream was to surround the Earth with electricity, pumped into the upper atmosphere by his power tower.
Oh, wow. Wow, just had a revelation. Just had a revelation, chat. Let's go to our cheat sheet. So here's the problem when we have something floating, right? We need a power source. Hey, Diamond. Curious as to your thoughts on this, Diamond, as well. We need a power source, right? When you see people making crafts that levitate using electricity, they always have wires hanging to them, right? So you'll see your phone floating, but there's always going to be like a wire hanging down from it, right? This is going to be tethering it because you need to have it charged to a battery or something, right? So where do we get the power? Where do we get the power, chat? Where do you guys think the power comes from then? If we have something that's freely floating, we break away the tether, where are we getting the power from? What do you guys think? How about everywhere around us? What if we absorb the power from the 0 point? Not just from everywhere, but the planet itself, right? The planet itself is a giant capacitor. The higher up you go, the more voltage that there is available. There's energy everywhere. So what do? We absorb the energy from the vacuum of space-time. Exactly, Egon, you got it. Space itself, 0 point. Ionizing energy from the atmosphere. Yes, Oppenheimer, everybody's getting it. Alex, Kevin, you got it. Look, guys, look how smart you guys are getting now, right? You guys are starting to understand the implications, right? We're looking at it right here, like what Bob Greenyer said. These are actually absorbing the energy from the vacuum of space-time as they're moving. As they're moving, they're seeing the toroidal moment. Wow. Look at, man, my followers are getting smart as hell over here. So there's two things that we need to be real, right? And this all comes together. One of them is we need to understand that space itself is not empty. That there's enough energy in the vacuum of space-time itself in order to achieve these power levels, power densities. The second thing we need to understand, which actually this isn't, Diamond, you cracked me up, dude. This isn't the second thing, but in addition to that, we need to understand that we can amplify the energy. That's what these are doing for sure, is they're amplifying it, right? It's not enough to just pull some energy from the vacuum. We also need to be able to amplify it to such a degree that we can just break through the entire fabric of reality, if you want to think of it. Break through to the quote-unquote, I hate using this term, the fourth dimension, but it's kind of what it is, right? It's an extra dimension. I hate that terminology. It makes you think that, like, it makes you think that you're going to go to another place, but in reality, you're not going to another place. It's more of like the underlying framework of our reality, right? And this is where they're amplifying it, right? That's the reason why they're enclosing. That's the reason why at the last second they begin to flatten, because this is where the amplification is hitting such high levels. It's actually causing the gravitational lensing effect, the warping of space-time itself right here. That's what's going on here. Just same way where if you look at a black hole, that you're going to see the light bend around it. Same way. This is why Salvatore Pais was calling it a black hole, because it's creating such a powerful gravitational force here. Though it's not a black hole in the same sense that we would see a black hole that's out there. Now, the second thing that we need is we need that extra dimension, though, right? So we need to have the ability to understand that space is not empty, and we need to understand that there is an extra dimension beyond what we're looking at. And these two things are probably related, right? And this is where we're getting what's called negative entropy, is that we're breaking through here, and now we're tapping into the negative entropy of the ether itself. At least that's how I understand it right now. Now, I reserve the right to change my mind as I get smarter about some of this stuff, but those are the things that we need. So we can imagine that they would do the same thing to the plane here, like blinking it out of existence, right? That's what we are to the boat. That's the same thing we'd be seeing here.
This would enable the user to draw electric power anywhere on the globe from his system. Was this all that was needed to make the electric flying craft practical?
Sorry, let's hit some questions. Isn't the dimension where the plane goes then ends up somewhere else where the fourth orb is? It's still in our reality, right? But you've got to think about it like the paper example, right? I don't really have paper, you know? But maybe this plastic will help understand. We shouldn't even really think of space-time as a sheet, right? It's better to think of it as like this plastic where it's bent everywhere, right? You see how it's bent all over the place? Where it's not fluid. Or it is fluid. It's not uniform though, right? And so what we want to do is, if I want to get from over here to over here, then what I need to do is I need to bring these two sides together, right? Bring the sides together and push through the middle. Now that's a crude analogy, but that's what we're talking about, right? And are we in a simulation? Yeah, we're definitely in some kind of holographic principle if this stuff is real. Now, it doesn't make life it doesn't diminish life. We're still here. We're still experiencing this reality. We still have emotions. We still have time on this planet. But it does tell us what the nature of our reality is, right? The same idea as ER equals EPR. If you guys saw me arguing earlier today, or not arguing, but having a back and forth with Brian Keating, right? Like, it's crazy. I'm talking to like legit scientists now in replies and stuff like that. Is that we just need to wake up these scientists. I mean, the answers are right there. He was even talking about he spoke to Maldacena on his podcast. I'm like, well. Hey, thank you very much, Izzy. Appreciate it. Am I off base by looking at vibrations as being a source for energy? No, you're not off base at all. So I don't think it's a matter of being a source for energy, but think of the vibration thing like if you were to, I'll pull up an example for you, okay? This is how you want to think of vibrations, okay? This is how you need to be thinking of it. This is how you want to be thinking of vibrations. Notice the resonance, right, that you can see happening here. Imagine doing this to space-time itself. At some point, you're hitting a high enough peak, boom, shatters. Notice at the end, too, how it starts to get more and more and more and more, right? Because you're hitting it with the vibrations consistently, and it's beginning to warp and warp and warp and warp more, and then boom, right? This is how you want to be thinking about it. And this is just sound, right? Boom. So that's your answer right there, is that vibrations are absolutely important. That's one powerful thing we learned from Salvatore Pais, is that vibration is what allows us to break through the fabric. Because the other option would be using accelerated spin, right? But accelerated spin is too violent. Vibrations, just vibrating back and forth, this is where you can get things into a resonance. And once you get them into a resonance, here's another thing. If you want another good example, chat, go into the bath or go into a pool, right? But get into the bath, let's say. And what I want you to do when you're in the bath is I want you to start rocking back and forth. Start rocking back and forth. And what you'll notice is the waves in the tub will start to flow back and forth, right? And as you keep doing that more and more, if you do it in a resonance, all of a sudden the waves will get higher and higher, right? And then what will start to happen? The water will start to overflow outside the tub. It's going to start splashing outside the tub. Same idea, right? Is that you're getting the waves into a resonance. Resonance is the key. Now imagine that we can do that to space-time itself, where we can take this space here and we can resonate it and vibrate it, but do it at super high frequency, right? And then you're going to break through the fabric of space-time. That's how I think about it. I don't know how accurate it is.
Practical. J. Frank King applied for a patent on their magneto-hydrodynamic propulsion system in 1962. The U.S. government, however, held back the granting of that patent for 5 years. I asked him why.
The patent office understands, each patent examiner understands that any device that could in any way affect the national security would have to go into a special section of the patent office. And so certain types of patents, certain flying machines, weapons of different types, all go into this special part of the patent office, and they won't release it to the public. In fact, they
Is that true? How did we never know that, chat? There's a special office for patents that are weaponized?
even send people around saying, we'll do bad things to you if you talk about it, until we release it. And they finally did release it.
Magneto. What? I thought it was what's the right word? MHD, magneto hydrodynamic motor, right? Propulsion. Huh. This has been around since 67. 67. Yeah, harmonic resonance, right? WP Genlight, are you Brad Voorhees? I can't remember which one you are.
In 1967.
If that is you, then I apologize. I do want you to send me your stuff.
In the meantime, as far as I know, there were no government tests or anything else run on it. I've never read any reports that have been written by researchers, government researchers on it. But I imagine there must have been some report written on it to have released it.
Patent number 1310990, lodged on 11 December 1970 by British Railways, detailed the technical data required to build a space vehicle powered by fusion energy. The space vehicle is circular in shape, and the primary source of particle emission is an array of lasers. However, in the middle of 1980...
Oh, yeah, you're Gerald. Gerald, you should... Are you on Twitter? I can't remember, Gerald. If you're on Twitter, just DM me, and I'll give you my private email.
It was announced that the program had been abandoned.
My real-world job, if you want to put it that way, is in the Space Shuttle program. I'm project manager for spaceflight operations for the McDonnell Douglas Corporation.
And you are you're stationed at the...
I'm stationed at the Johnson Space Center.
I think McDonnell Douglas was bought out by somebody.
John Schuessler is also deputy director of a worldwide organization known as MUFON.
Yes, the Mutual UFO Network is an international research and investigative organization dedicated to the study of the UFO phenomenon. And it's international because the scope of this problem is international. UFOs are seen everywhere, and they're poorly investigated in so many areas. And MUFON was put together.
I don't think Einstein was even a PhD, right?
Want to do more than just look at lights in the sky or chase
this is the guy who started MUFON, or was
world of UFOs. We want to do something realistic about it. We feel there's pay dirt in the study of the UFO phenomenon. Whether it be psychological or an engineering problem, it's still going to be worthwhile. So we have consultants the world over, as well as investigators and just subscribers.
Wow.
1978.
In December 78, when the CIA released about 900 sheets of paper, of which these are some, I went through them with a fine...
Okay, let's dig into some more of this. Okay, let's look at what else we can find out about Project Rainbow. Okay. Yeah, okay, Googling Project Rainbow might not have been the best idea. Jesus. Really makes you wonder if they cover up stuff like this by releasing crap like whatever this is. What is this, Rainbow High? What is this crap? Project Rainbow empowers and uplifts LGBTQ individuals. That's not the Project Rainbow we're looking at. And when you look at it here, this is a CIA project to reduce cross-section. Oh, wow. So, okay, let's go ahead and take this. So this is how they're similar, okay? So this is an interesting connection, right? So Project Rainbow is technically supposed to be about reducing the cross-section of the radar, but instead what did it do? It bent space-time entirely. Lockheed Martin? Again with Lockheed Martin? Yeah. Yo, guys, we should do a death pool to see which of these third-party contractors is going to end up killing me before I die of old age. Lockheed Martin's way up at the top of the list. They're trading at 1.5 to 1. Oh, man, Lockheed Martin. Yeah, I just like to imagine that there's some high-level analyst at Lockheed Martin that is, whenever I reply to their Twitter account, just sitting there getting triggered. Okay, Project Rainbow. I mean, you can't find anything about it. Oh, what's this? Oh, we already looked at this one yesterday, right, chat? Intense electromagnetic fields to protect against ships from incoming projectiles. And then, so they say 2 massive generators. Now, this is the part where I have a feeling that there's one in the forward and one in the end, right? So they had a bunch of hardware. Toroidal generators. I wonder if they were using magnetohydrodynamic stuff as well. Try this. Okay. Project Rainbow. Let's see what we can find, chat. Oh, we go. Whoa, procedures for handling correspondence on Project Rainbow. Okay. 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 1957. All papers concerning Project Rainbow will be logged with either SAPC or TS number. So that's top secret number, right? SAPC is probably a special access program. Wow. It's mandatory that Ridger makes certain that clearances for Project Rainbow have been granted to those individuals receiving copies. Whoa. So there's definitely something there. So we'll keep this. Let's we're gonna need that for tomorrow or whenever we post this. Rainbow control system. Everybody in project headquarters is aware of the Project Rainbow, and due to this knowledge and control, the Rainbow documents be turned over to the RI for routine handling. It's not really that good. Oh yeah, then Project Montauk is supposed to be the next stuff, right? Let's see what else we got here. That's quite a lot of viewers. Yeah, go ahead and hit the like button, guys, if you're interested in Project Rainbow. Rainbow clearance for classified. 1957. This is all 1957. It is requested that blank be granted a rainbow clearance in order that she may have access to correspondence pertaining to this project. Secretary. So this is going to be that person's name again, right? So this is most likely a secretary for like a Secretary of Defense or something like that. Hmm. 2016? No, 1957. Aquatone. What kind of crazy shit do we got going on in the CIA, man? Air Force request for Project Rainbow. They're all 1957. Yeah, just a coincidence that they're all 1957. Didn't that documentary just talk about 1957? Was the year that they tried to get Thomas Townsend Brown? Because of the reorganization of Air Force intelligence. Dude, what do the generals know, man? What does Joseph F. Dunford know, guys? These people probably know some crazy stuff. Let's see. Okay. All 1957 clearances. Yeah, the 60s, man. So imagine what JFK knew, right? Like if JFK figured out about this in the 60s, you can imagine why this is why they ended up killing him, right? He knows too much. Especially if he's talking about trying to get this information out. We just need to find one thing. The problem is I can see here that it's all these like indirect things related to the project. There's nothing directly related to it. So let's go back. Here we go. This is what we want. Okay. Project Rainbow was allegedly an experiment conducted on a small destroyer escort ship during World War II, both in the Philadelphia Naval Yard and at sea. The goal is to make the ship invisible to enemy detection. The accounts vary as to whether the original idea was able to achieve invisibility to enemy radar. It is commonly believed that the mechanism involved the generation of an incredibly intense magnetic field around the ship, which would have caused refraction or bending of light. The legend goes on to say that the experiment was a complete success. except that the ship actually disappeared physically for a time and then returned. They wanted to cloak it, but they got dematerialization and teleportation instead. Well, that's what happens if you bend light, right? The reason why this makes sense is because they probably had no idea what the hell was going to happen, right? They're bending the light, and they're creating a gravitational wave, and they don't even realize it, right? So they created super powerful magnetic fields, and they created a freaking gravitational wave, and then they potentially reduced the mass of the boat, which caused its time to increase, right? As we've learned from Roy D. Herbert. And once its time increased, now it's like Quicksilver. It's going super speed. This is pretty interesting because if it was headed towards, let's say, the naval yard, the Norfolk, Virginia Naval Yard, it could have just been going super speed. And that's why it looked like it showed up instantly. I wonder if they would have like turned the magnetic fields off when they start freaking out. Now, the other thing too is I imagine the people on the inside, they would have had quite the experience. It would have looked like everything else was going slow-mo probably, right? For if they're looking out, and we know how time dilation works, they would be looking outside the ship, and it's going to look like everything's going super slow, right? And they're going to start freaking out because these are like old people from the 40s and crap, right? And they're going, okay, why is time slowing down for everybody else? Let's get to the, and they're going, they're freaking out, and let's get to the shipyard ASAP. Do you recall what the code name for this project might have been? William Moore asked Dr. Reinhardt. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I want to associate the terms rainbow or mirage with it. While trying to locate the terms, we're going to definitely copy this. This is pretty crazy. Let's take this hyperlink. These are the kind of links I like, chat. When it looks like some GeoCities website, this is the ones I like. While trying to locate terms Dr. Reinhardt associated to the project, the following appeared in the Inter-Services Code Word Index. A comprehensive search of the archives has failed to identify records of a Project Rainbow related to teleportation or making a ship disappear. In the 1940s, the codename Rainbow was used to refer to the Rome, Berlin, Tokyo axis. The Rainbow plans were the war plans to defeat Italy, Germany, and Japan. Rainbow 5, the plan in effect in December 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, was a plan the U.S. used to fight the Axis powers. Okay. Rainbow is a term to apply to a collection of war plans. Okay, we've already looked at that. Project Rainbow was a codename given to the CIA to research this project aimed at reducing the radar cross-section of the Lockheed U-2 and lowering the chance it would be detected. A declassified CIA document from 1958 also states the project was to further study electromagnetic radiation in connection with Project Rainbow. 1958. Electromagnetic radiation connection with Project Rainbow. Theoretical studies and investigations in the field of electromagnetic radiation. In order that the contractor may more properly allocate indirect costs. There's Project Aquatone again. Are they talking about Thomas Townsend Brown here? How can 1957 be a coincidence? Oh, one sec, chat. I got some messages. I got a lot of freaking messages. Sorry, I was just thinking about something else related to MH370. Let's see. Okay, let's see. This is like a contract. And so all these things are like indirect, right? So this is another thing we got to realize about how they keep records. They're not keeping anything incriminating, right? All that information is probably just up here in people's minds. The stuff they have on paper is stuff where it's like you need approvals for things, right? Where you can't hide that. I wonder if I can use this to find out more information about MH370 via FOIA request. Like, would they have to give Trump access to something like this? Or any new president? Wait, did we look at everything there? So in the end, the first mention of the project code name was an interview with William Moore by an unidentified person that thinks it may have been Rainbow. Mirage. That's it, huh? Let's go to Philadelphia experiment. Is made optically invisible. It teleports out of control over 600 kilometers in seconds. Men were fused to the decks. Some went crazy. There we go. I've spent 37 years digging through books, making phone calls, meeting and interviewing various people. I've walked the decks of the Estridge sister ship to get an idea of the scale of the experiment. Wow. It was back to the 1980s with the release of the Philadelphia experiment. A science fiction movie based on the legend. Project Invisibility. They did not consider the experiment as a fantasy. Whoa, look, there you go. I've been interested in the subject of mass displacement. Mass displacement is inertial mass reduction. The legend is far from dead. The slim facts remain are continually being twisted and augmented. The website has been created to pull the twisted information back into perspective. These people claim to have unusual knowledge or even to have been personally involved in the experiment. When the self-proclaimed witnesses do turn up and are asked direct questions, they usually brush it aside or respond using vague terms. Much of what out there is pseudoscience, psycho-spirituals, fluff. Okay. Yeah, so one of the things that I've read as well is that the whole thing related to this is how the people that are in the know are very smart, right? And so they know what not to reveal as well. And the other part, too, is that they just know that nobody would believe it anyway. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild. John Trump. How is Trump's uncle involved in this, man? What is wrong with this world? Why do we have, like, 4 families have controlled the presidency in my whole lifetime? If your name's a Bush or a Clinton or a Trump, or the Obama and Obama's second in command, Biden, right? It's just all the same people, man. Just repeatedly, it's like musical chairs and they just switch it around. Yeah, I was in college during 9/11. I remember it vividly. Okay, Project Rainbow was an experiment conducted on an Explorer. I think we've already read about this. Okay, we got that. Okay, here we go. It's been claimed that the project experiment was partially an investigation of how Albert Einstein's unified field theory for gravitational electricity. He allegedly published it? What do you mean? Later withdrawn as incomplete? Is this true, chat? Well, that's a rabbit hole for another time, huh? Einstein published a unified field theory? Yeah, why are all these presidents related to one another? Yeah, I would bet anything Trump knows about MH370. And Obama definitely does, because he literally would have to sign off on it. You know what bugs me a lot, chat? One sec. The thing that bugs me is I think about why Obama got quiet about UFOs, why Clinton got quiet about UFOs, why Bush Sr. never really bothered with it because he was already in the CIA. I think, wasn't he the head of the CIA? And why even Trump got quiet about it. Because when you're on the outside and you don't understand the implications of what we're talking about, it just all seems like a game. Like the same way that RFK is clearly not in the know, right? Talking about revealing UFOs. And then you get on the inside and you get told all this crap. And you're like, wait, we can teleport objects? And they're going, yeah. And it's not just teleporting objects, but it's a doomsday weapon that would destroy the planet. And they go, oh, okay, I'm going to shut up now. Right? You don't even have to be threatened. Just all you have to do is be told the implications of it. Right? And they go, yeah, you thought nukes were important? That was 1945. We've got weapons that can destroy a whole asteroid or the whole planet, where we can teleport you from one location to the other. And it's unstoppable. And then they go, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do whatever you want me to do. Right? Because they also then realize the power that if you want to call it the deep state or whatever you want to call it, I don't really care, the administrative elite that control the planet, they realize that the president's not the most powerful person in the country anymore, right? They start to realize that the military advisors and these people that are career government officials are the ones that hold this power, hold the information. If you're one of the select few that knows the information, knowledge is power, right? So here's another one. 2 technicians requested in your memorandum. Who is this being sent to? I don't even know who this is going to. CIA? The CIA, is the CIA releasing this, or I don't know what agency? Sanitized, approved for release, CIA. Who's the person at the CIA that's blacking all this stuff out? How crazy must they be going where they like know about all this crap that they have to black out? Nah, man. A whole asteroid, a nuke wouldn't even be able to destroy a whole asteroid. Yeah, when we're talking about this type of weaponry, we're talking about world enders. We're talking about the planet's here, the planet's not here anymore. Like basically being able to create a black hole. That's the thing about this technology that's so it's so far beyond what UFOlogy even understands. And that makes sense, right? If the issue that let's rewind 6 months before the MH370 videos. If the issue of aliens and UFOs was just what all these people in UFOlogy think it is, where it's aliens are visiting us or there's little crafts floating around, like if that's all the issue was, they wouldn't bother covering it up. Yeah, it's paradigm shifting, but we can handle there being other beings, right? The thing that we can't handle is technology that could obliterate us in an instant. We would destroy ourselves. No question. No question. I 100% agree. We would destroy ourselves, right? And so then if you think about it that way, okay, if we would destroy ourselves with this Project Rainbow technology, then what is the logical thing to prevent that from happening, everybody? How would you prevent us from destroying ourselves with this kind of technology? You hide it. You hide it for as long as you can hide it for, right? You hide it for ever, right? You hide it until the point where humanity has reached a point where we are not going to destroy ourselves. Who knows when that will even be? Who knows when that will even be, right? And that's what you would do. And that's what they've probably been doing, in my opinion. They've been hiding it for as long as they can hide it. And they've probably been hiding it for like 80 years. And imagine that it's only gotten more and more powerful. The moment we figured out quantum computers and AI, it probably got exponentially more powerful. Because that's when we can start producing orbs. Orbs that are just freely floating around, sucking the energy, the vacuum energy out of space-time itself, that are basically self-powering. Like, that's where it starts to get super scary. That's why when I first saw these videos, I went, what the shit? I first looked at this before I knew about any of the science. And I looked at it and I go, dude, what? I'm going, this is like 1,000 years more advanced than we are at. And I didn't have any scale of reference at that point, right? Where you're looking at it and you're just going, what the hell? How are these orbs just floating around like this? It's you look at it and there's just something about it that looks too perfect, right? There's no discrepancies. Like, it's not like there's an error. It's the pattern of the orbs is perfect. It's too freaky. It's like a real-life Philadelphia experiment. I mean, Philadelphia experiment was probably real, too. And in 2014, this is pretty much exactly what I would expect from resolution capability and computer capability for a video. I mean, look at the clouds on the edges here as well. Evolving in some parts. It's pretty damn bizarre, man. Still blows me away that people think that that's just some easy video game effect or whatever people think. Granted, I would say this one's easier to fake just because you got less going on in general, right? And since it's probably satellites from space, the more I'm thinking about this too, the more I'm thinking this might actually be from geostationary satellites. And the reason why you have the angle is because the satellites are so far away and that the Earth is tilted. The more I'm looking at, the more I'm thinking that. I mean, we have ones that are close up. So it could be from those as well, but not sure. The NROL 22 definitely indicates the Sibers system, I'm sure. It's just all so weird. The thermal video is much harder to fake. I mean, this is practically impossible to fake. There's too many small details. Just starting with the drone shaking like this naturally in the turbulence. It's funny because I don't know how people think that the drone shake's incorrect. Apparently those people have never seen a drone video before. Drones do not shake very much. They're very well stabilized when you look at the videos of them. It takes a lot of turbulence in order that you can get a little bit of shake. And then the fact that it increases when it zooms in clearly has a manual tracking of the plane. But the biggest part to me is the orbs. The orbs is something that literally cannot be faked. There's no reference for it. Nobody will even know how and why to do this. The shape of the orbs, like Bob Greenier points out with the heat signature, you literally need to understand science in order to be able to do that. That's not a thing that somebody just comes up with. If somebody was faking these orbs, they would just make them uniform color. Especially if it was just some idiot VFX artist, right? They're going to have no idea what to make this look like. And there's no way anyone would have ever come up with these lines in front of the orbs, pulling them forward. That's not something that's ever been seen anywhere. No one's ever even theorized that from any movies or video games. Literally all just completely original stuff. Hey, Izzy. Wow, thank you very much. You donated 20 times. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Not to get all conspiracy, Einstein's wife was the one who came up with all his work. That's pretty cool, actually. That's a cool thought. Also, just a quick note, yeah, don't donate if you don't really have the excess money to donate. I appreciate it, but you don't need to donate to get my attention. Although, of course, thank you very much. I don't want to diminish your donation. I appreciate that highly. But it's been nice where not a lot of people have donated recently, so I don't feel awkward about it in general. My true plan is that, guys, so I've come to realize that this stuff is real, in my opinion. All the stuff that's out there, like, it's not a secret why there's all this history around it. Like, there's something here, right? So my plan is to profit off of it myself. That's it, right? I've already told you guys I'm corruptible just like anybody else. So I'm kind of tired of trying to convince people that don't want to be convinced anyway. So the reason why I'm doing this with you guys still, and why I haven't stopped doing this, is because I know you guys are the types of people that want to know, right? You want to know the information. I want to help the people that want to know. As for everybody else, screw them. Honestly, forget it, right? Like this type of information is stuff that you can profit off of, right? And just to show you an example of what I mean, the people that know will understand what I'm getting at, right? Guys, which company bought Freescale Semiconductors? Which company bought them, guys? When was it that I told you guys that I was going to invest in semiconductor industries? I think that was about November. Somewhere around here. Somewhere between here and here. That was about 200. It's at 245. This isn't even one of the better ones. If you had invested in NVIDIA, you guys want to see NVIDIA? Look at NVIDIA. If you had gotten NVIDIA at 429, it's at almost 800. It's doubled. It's gone up 68%. 68%. Do you guys know why these companies are going up? And again, just to be 100% clear, this is not investment advice. I'm just looking at stocks that are out there. If superconductors are real, who are the companies that are making them? Oh, these are the companies that are making them. The semiconductor industries are making them, right? I mean, just look at like the 5-year growth. This is 5 years, $50. NVIDIA was $50 in 2019, 2020. It's $800 now. $50 to $800. What can explain this level of rapid growth, chat? I'll give you one. People have started to figure out that they have figured out superconductors. Right? They've figured out superconductors. In fact, I wish I had invested in NVIDIA. But whatever. Their market cap is $2 trillion. Wow. Wow. $2 trillion market cap. At some point, it's going to come out that we've got superconductors, and everybody's going to realize that's why these companies have gone up so much. Again, not investment advice, just my own opinion. So everything's adding up, guys, but okay, here we go. What else? It's getting scary outside. Okay, so they fitted this thing with experimental electronic components, including 2 massive generators at 65 kilovolts, distributing their power through 4 magnetic coils mounted on the deck. 3 RF transmitters, 2 megawatt, mounted on the deck. So this is the thing that you need, right? The RF power needs. So also, guys, remember, Rolls-Royce was distributing power needs for Lockheed Martin. And so was Freescale Semiconductors was providing RF power needs for U.S. aerospace and defense. More and more I think about it, I don't even know if it's a matter of all the Freescale Semiconductor people there, but maybe just one of them. Yeah, I might be under a tornado watch too. The temperature changed like 60 degrees in one day here. Okay, so 3,000 power tubes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so the point here was, again, to make it invisible. I'm just looking for any secrets. We've got a lot of evidence here lined up. Philadelphia Naval Yard and at sea. One took place while in full view of the merchant ship SS Andrew. I'm not going to say this name. One of its crewmen is the source of the most original material making up that legend. Carlos Allendale, Carl Allen, wrote a series of strange letters to one Morris Jessup. He describes what he witnessed, at least one of the several phases of the experiment. At 1900 hours on July 2nd, 1943, the story goes, the power to the generators was turned on and the massive electromagnetic field started to build up. A greenish fog was seen, slowly enveloped the ship, concealing it from view. Then the fog itself is said to have disappeared, taking the Eldridge with it, leaving only undisturbed water where the ship had once been anchored only moments before. God, chat, does that sound similar to anything? Kind of sounds like the orange glow that Kate T saw when the plane just disappears. Takes everything with it, and there's nothing there anymore, just completely undisturbed. I think that was one of the biggest issues I had when I looked at the videos, is I expected like the clouds to get sucked in or blasted away or something, but no. It's just not there anymore. Which, from the debunker standpoint, you would say, oh, well, that's because they just edited it out. From the science standpoint, when you start to dig into it, you start to realize, no, like, when you have macroscopic phase conjugation, it doesn't disturb all the area around it. It's not going to suck in the whole planet. It just makes the localized object go somewhere else. Pretty wild. Take it easy, Kevin. Yeah, we're going to be logging off here in about 15 minutes or less. I want to get through the rest of this here. The elite officers of the Navy and scientists involved gazed in awe of their greatest achievement. The ship and the crew were not only radar invisible, but invisible to the eyes as well. Everything worked as planned, and about 15 minutes later, they ordered the men to shut down the generators. The greenish fog slowly appeared, and the Eldridge began to dematerialize as the fog subsided. But it was evident that something had gone wrong. When boarded by personnel from the shore, the crew above deck were found to be disoriented and nauseous. The Navy removed the crew shortly after and obtained another. In the end, the Navy decided they only wanted radar invisibility and the equipment was altered. This makes me wonder about the people that would have been on the plane, right? Just looking in the chat. Yeah, that's the thing I'm not sure about SEAL Team 6. How was the water not displaced? You would think that it would create like a whirlpool and the water would come together, right? Then again, I guess it depends. Like we don't know enough about how the localization effect really works. The men that survived were never the same again. Those that lived were discharged as mentally unfit for duty, regardless of their true condition. Ended up as accidental teleportation of entire ship and crew to a distant location and back again, all in a matter of minutes. In the 1940s, the atomic bomb was also being developed. Composite Philadelphia experiment legend stood up until very recently when certain new details were added by a few sources who claimed to be remembering their own participation in the project after years of brainwashing to remove such memories. Is there any evidence that the experiment of this nature was really performed in the USS Eldridge? Did the Eldridge really teleport over 600 kilometers? How could an unusual assertion have been made? That's the thing. Why would they be talking about teleportation if that's not really what happened, right? The green fog is the water connection. That's what I was wondering, Gerald. Like, is the magnetic effect causing the green glow from the water because it's on the water? The green fog is very important. Okay, guys, you know what it's time for. Chat GPT. I mean, Grok. Okay, Grok. Why would water cause a green fog under strong magnetic fields? Trimboluminescent material? crystal fluorite. Fluorite can produce a green glow when subject to mechanical stress or under a strong magnetic field. If fluorite crystals were present in the water, strong magnetic field was applied, it could cause a green glow. Has to do with the red and blue shift and being in the middle of both? Maybe. Seems possible. There really was an experiment of this nature. What happened to the men involved? How could the Navy have kept such technological breakthrough implied covered up for 75 years? Now that is the crucial question. So let's go ahead and answer the questions, chat. And let's see if our knowledge that we've accumulated can answer the questions that this person has about the experiment. Is there any evidence that this nature is really performed? Well, that's kind of hard. I think that we have circumstantial evidence. Did the Eldritch really teleport? How could that have been made? Well, we've learned about that because we've been watching 2 videos that show the same thing. If there was an experiment, what happened to the men involved? Are any of the witnesses still alive? I think the answer is some of them probably didn't live. Others, I imagine, would have been extremely disoriented, probably could have gone crazy. Other ones would have, it wouldn't surprise me if they had some ailments that happened to them over this. Oh, green fog occurs at high voltage potentials of metal in the salt water going through the red and blue shift. That's really interesting. Really interesting. That's a very interesting detail, right? Now, how could the Navy have kept such technological breakthrough hidden? Well, the answer is A, because nobody would ever believe it, right? B, they don't keep much stuff on paper, so there's not really a paper trail. And then C, you kill some people, I guess, if necessary. If anybody gets out, puts too much information out, you just silence them. Most confusing death. Yeah, Z Jalapeno, I'm with you, man. Most confusing death experience, right? What kind of technology could have been implemented to cause the events? Well, how about the bending of space-time itself? And then to me, the question is, in their frame of reference, were they just boating from one place to the other? That's what I think is probably would have happened, right? So they're just going super speed. But it does make you wonder. That's the hardest thing we can figure out is how does technology work that? Where Einstein's theory is really involved, was his unification field theory ever really completed? To me, that seems like the logical answer is Einstein's unification theory. We need to go check that out, see if that's real. That's what they've been having to keep secret the whole time, right? You have to keep the unification theory hidden. You have to lie in the Maxwell equations so that you make people think when they look at the Maxwell equations that scalar potential is not possible, that you can't have a scalar field. The moment you understand scalar fields, now you begin to manipulate gravity using high power electric potential or zero magnetic field. You can create a scalar potential. And that's really where all this comes back down to, right? And that's why I've had people in my chats going, well, look at Maxwell's equations. And I say, yeah, you look at Maxwell's equations. You guys want me to blow your mind real quick? Give me a second. We're gonna probably end with this last thing. Okay. Give me 1 sec. Speed control. I have to figure out where exactly it was. Somewhere near the end here, around 1 hour. You guys will recognize these voices.
What if the phonon is a spin 2 part? It spoke, acoustic level. Again, you are of a certain mindset, sir. I'm not getting it.
Here. With every country, even our enemies. Here, maybe.
Transference? Because yes. I see.
Sorry, I'm looking for it.
This is not anyone in particular. Do you know?
I'm gonna have to find this, I think.
He knows a lot more people. Again, he's of the physics pedigree. He's a plasma physicist. He's done a lot more in the past. And remember what he said about Mars. Remember,
that's Joseph Farrell, I think.
Like a bleak sort of answer, but
let's see here.
Far more dangerous enemies than we have on it.
Trying to figure out where Salvatore Pais says this.
I am 100% sure, and I do not need anybody out there. I don't need well, I will not name names, but I don't need them for them to let me know that it's possible the Earth has enemies out there.
Okay, that's the enemies out there. Was it more less controversial, which is around the technology? I can't remember. One of these pinpoints, basically, Salvatore Pais says that you can look at the Maxwell equations and basically talks about scalar potential, right? I'll try to find the clip for tomorrow, and then I can show you some of the clips. But he had a lot of really awesome clips in there as well that explain how we're able to manipulate gravity, right? And this is part of the reason why I think that Salvatore Pais hasn't been doing a lot of interviews, because he said a lot of stuff. And he was very careful and cautious where he didn't want to help our enemies. I don't have the same concerns, because first of all, I think the enemies have already figured it out. And second of all, the U.S. government disappeared this plane, and they're lying about it, and they've been trying to push disinformation on me as well. So, you know what? Screw them at this point. But yeah, if they want to hit me up and have a conversation about it, I'd be happy to potentially go quiet about it. But as long as we're going to keep lying about the plane, then I'm not going to feel hurt by revealing how the science works. Okay. So this is a pretty good one as well. Let's take a look. But yeah, we can dig into some more Maxwell stuff tomorrow. I think let's probably stop here. What I want to dig into is this alter magnetism as well, which I really don't understand. I don't know if this is just a new term, because half of science is just coming up with new terms, right? To explain stuff that's already out there. So it wouldn't surprise me if this alter magnetism is like just some other form that we've already been understanding. Like if this is just another way to describe scalar physics. Let's just read through this real quick, and then that way you guys can have a little bit of homework and a little bit of something to think about. Magnetism is more than just being about things that stick to the fridge. Magnetic materials have been divided into two fundamental phases, ferromagnetic branch as well as the anti-ferromagnetic branch. The experimental proof of a third branch of magnetism, termed altermagnetism, was made at the Swiss Light Sources, SLS, by an international collaboration of Czech Academy of Sciences, together with Paul Scherrer Institute, PSI. The fundamental magnetic phases are defined by the specific spontaneous arrangements of magnetic moments, or electron spins, and of atoms that carry the moments in the crystals. It's very interesting, actually. That's interesting because we were just looking at yesterday how the spins of atoms are manipulated by the magnetic field that they're in. Remember when they're spinning around like this, and they're spinning around like this, but then they're also spinning like this. And that's being manipulated by the magnetic fields. And as well, crystals, we know piezoelectricity can exist. So if we think about a solid state, then maybe it's possible, like we were talking about before, where you can have paths through the atoms where you have electrons that can flow freely. Ferromagnetics are type of magnets that stick to the fridge. Here the spin points in the same direction, giving microscopic magnetism. In antiferromagnets, spin points in alternating directions, with the results that the materials possess no macroscopic net magnetization, and thus don't stick to the fridge. Although other types of magnetism, such as diamagnetism and paramagnetism, have been categorized. These describe specific responses to externally applied magnetic fields rather than spontaneous magnetic orderings in materials. Altermagnets have a special combination of the arrangement of spins and crystal symmetries. The spins alternate, as in antiferromagnets, resulting in no net magnetization. Yet, rather than simply canceling out, the symmetries give an electronic band structure with strong spin polarization that flips in direction as you pass through the material's energy bands. Hence the name altermagnets. This results in highly useful properties more resembling to ferromagnets. Well, that's interesting. So the idea here is that as you, let's say if you have like a toroidal magnet, as you go through it, maybe it like accelerates towards it, but then it you know, continues to accelerate that way even further. I'm not really sure exactly what it's getting at, but some type of weird effect like that. I'll have to understand it a little bit more. Okay, so we can dig into that. We'll dig into that maybe tomorrow and more science as well. And I'm going to try to put out the last few MH370 pieces as well. The first one's probably going to be the drift analysis. And then I will go and I'll put out the RF power needs and the Rolls-Royce stuff and the connections to Lockheed Martin. And then the last one will probably be about the Inmarsat pings and how unreliable those are. So, okay, guys. Well, thank you for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it. This was a good stream. And yeah, I think that was great. Awesome. And hey, Bernie, thanks for coming in here late. We talked about Project Rainbow. I took some notes here, as you guys can see. Probably will have a post ready to be written up tomorrow morning about Project Rainbow. And we'll dig into that. And yeah, otherwise, have a great night, everybody. Let's talk tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. Peace. Oh, also, Gerald, if you hit up Bernie, he'll give you my personal email address, and then you can email me those papers if you want. Thanks a lot, Gerald. Appreciate it. Oh, wow. Thanks, Izzy. Thanks for the last-second donation. Appreciate all the donations you made today. That was very nice of you. You didn't need to do that, but thank you. Cheers to you, Izzy. Cheers to MH370X for hanging out tonight. And let's figure this stuff out, everybody. Like, you guys are impressing me with your knowledge already, right? We're getting smarter and smarter on this stuff. We've come a long way already. Yeah, Bernie, you can skip the first 30 minutes. I just kind of rage a little bit about the debunkers, and then we dig into it pretty hard, and we dig into the whole Project Rainbow, Philadelphia experiment. There's not a lot of information out there, but it was an interesting chat tonight. So, have a good night, everybody. Peace.